Rain poured down in sheets, blurring the flashing red and blue lights that painted the empty highway. A man in a soaked gray shirt knelt on the cold asphalt, cradling an unconscious female police officer in his arms. Her blood mixed with rainwater, streaking down her pale face. The man's hands trembled as she barely whispered, "Don't call the station, they did this," then her eyes fluttered shut. He froze, staring at her badge, and at the shattered police cruiser burning behind them. Who was she talking about? And why did every instinct in him scream that this night would change everything? It all began 48 hours earlier, when Ethan Cole, a single dad and ex-firefighter, was just trying to rebuild his life in the small, quiet town of Willowridge. Ever since losing his wife in an accident 3 years ago, his entire world revolved around his 8-year-old daughter, Lily. He worked long shifts at a construction site, coming home covered in dust but always bringing her a smile, a bedtime story, and the promise that everything will be okay. That promise was the only thing holding both of them together. One evening, on his way home through the mountain road, Ethan's truck broke down near the edge of the forest. While waiting for a tow, he noticed headlights swerving dangerously behind him. Before he could react, a police cruiser spun off the road and crashed into a ditch. Flames erupted from the hood. Without hesitation, Ethan sprinted through the rain, smashing the car window with a rock. Inside was a young female officer, bloodied, dazed, struggling to stay conscious. "Stay with me," Ethan shouted, pulling her out seconds before the car exploded. He laid her down gently on the wet ground, his heart pounding. "You're safe now. You're okay." She blinked up at him, breathing hard. I wasn't supposed to survive this," she muttered weakly. Before he could ask what she meant, a second vehicle's headlights flashed from the distance, approaching fast. The woman's eyes widened in panic. "Please, don't call the station. They did this." Then she passed out. Ethan's gut twisted. He lifted her carefully into his arms and ran toward his truck. Whoever was coming, it wasn't help. He hid behind a row of trees, watching as 2 dark SUVs pulled up near the wreck. Men in tactical gear stepped out, scanning the scene. One of them kicked at the burning cruiser and cursed. "She's gone. Find her." Ethan held his breath, clutching the woman tighter. Rain drenched them both as he whispered, "Hang on, I've got you." By the time he reached home, it was nearly midnight. He placed the injured officer on his couch, wrapping her wounds and covering her with a blanket. Lily peeked from her bedroom doorway, sleepy-eyed and scared. "Daddy, who's that lady?" Ethan forced a calm smile. "Someone who needs our help, sweetheart." The next morning, the woman woke up disoriented but alive. She tried to sit up, wincing. "Where am I?" "Safe," Ethan said softly. "You almost died last night. I pulled you from the wreck." Her eyes filled with gratitude and fear all at once. "You shouldn't have done that. Now they'll come for you too." "Who?" he demanded. She hesitated, her jaw tightening. "The people I work for." Her name was Officer Grace Morgan, newly transferred to Willowridge PD after exposing corruption in her previous department. She had been investigating a drug ring connected to high-ranking officers, and last night, someone tried to silence her. Ethan listened, disbelief turning to anger. "So the ones who are supposed to protect us, tried to kill you?" Grace nodded, tears mixing with the bruises on her face. "I have proof. But I can't go to anyone in uniform. They own half the force." Ethan knew what it meant: danger, risk, and putting his daughter in harm's way. But something about Grace's courage reminded him of his late wife, who used to say, "If you can save a life, you don't ask for permission, you just do it." He looked at Lily playing in the next room and then back at Grace. "Then we'll find another way." For the next 2 days, they worked in secret. Grace recovered slowly, while Ethan helped her hide in his old workshop out back. She showed him a flash drive she had hidden in her belt, containing evidence of bribes, illegal deals, and even the name of the chief behind it all. But before they could send it to the feds, the sound of tires crunching on gravel broke the silence. Ethan peered through the window, 2 police cruisers. His blood ran cold. "They found us," Grace whispered. He grabbed Lily and Grace, leading them through the back door into the forest. Flashlights cut through the dark, voices shouting. "Check the shed. She has to be here." They ran for their lives, branches slapping their faces, mud clinging to their boots. When they reached an old fire lookout tower, Ethan boosted Grace and Lily up first. The officers below shouted, guns drawn. Grace turned to Ethan, breathless. "Go. Save your daughter." But Ethan refused. "We're getting out of this, together." He remembered a hidden path he used as a firefighter during rescue drills. Leading them through it, they escaped to an abandoned ranger station miles away. There, Grace used the station's old radio to contact an FBI agent she trusted, the only one she believed wasn't compromised. When the agents finally arrived at dawn, they arrested the corrupt officers, including the police chief himself. Grace's evidence blew the case wide open. The entire town watched the scandal unfold on the news, a web of deceit that reached all the way to the top. Days later, as Grace prepared to leave for witness protection, she hugged Ethan tightly. "You didn't just save my life," she said softly. "You saved the truth." Ethan smiled, glancing at Lily, who waved from the porch. "Guess we both needed saving." Months passed, and peace slowly returned to Willow Ridge. One rainy afternoon, much like that night, a knock came at Ethan's door. Grace stood there, no longer in uniform, but with the same determined eyes. "Thought you could use some help fixing that old truck," she said with a grin. Ethan laughed, letting her in. "You sure you're not here for another rescue mission?" Grace smiled. "Maybe this time, we save each other." As the camera pulled back, the rain fell softly once again, but this time, it felt different. Because sometimes, heroes aren't the ones wearing badges, they're the ones who refuse to walk away when the world goes dark. And for Ethan Cole, a single dad who once thought his life was over, that night on the road became the moment everything changed, for him, for Grace, and for the entire town that finally learned what real courage looks like.